It's 7:45, Thursday morning, 1 year ago. I'm sitting off to the side at the front of the classroom in one of the portables out back. I was teaching the leadership group how to conduct their own Toastmasters meeting. One of the students came up to the front to do their very first table topic, which is an impromptu mini speech. Her hands were shaking, shallow breath, a fog across her eyes. And in the voice of a mouse, she said, "Can I sit down?" But before that class was over, that same student came back up to the front of the class, and with the courage of a lion, she spoke. Over the last year, that voice has grown, not only to speak up, but to speak out, to help others. It is my honor to introduce you to that voice this evening. Please welcome to the stage, Emma.
I'm nervous. And you would be too if you were in my shoes. The bright stage lights blinding you and a crowd full of people staring blankly at you. You'd feel kind of on display, wouldn't you? But this nervousness is reasonable. And tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about a different, unreasonable kind of nervousness. Middle school. I began to have these stages of panic whenever my friends wouldn't text me back. A typical teenager problem, right? I would start having thoughts like, am I being annoying? Do they hate me? Do they not want to be my friend? Those thoughts would eat away at me until I finally received a response. In middle school, lots of changes were happening. Crushes, puberty, and figuring out who we were in a way. We were all transitioning from 8th grade children to young adults in high school, and my friends were going through some major changes. However, they didn't handle those changes in positive ways. They became mean and petty and were constantly fighting and screaming at each other. And I hated how I couldn't fix anything. I hated myself because I couldn't fix anything. Around halfway through the year, my 2 best friends decided that they didn't want to be my friends anymore. And suddenly, I was alone. That, along with the endless drama that was happening that year, made it feel like my world was crashing down on me. And it was all my fault. It was my fault that nobody, including myself, was happy. My panic attacks began to get worse, and the amount of times I was unreasonably overwhelmed was unsettling. These attacks made me tense up, have shaky hands, shallow breaths, and a foggy brain. I would lose focus on my surroundings and get caught up in a swarm of negative thoughts. I finally realized something was very wrong, and I told my parents. They were understanding and told me they went through similar circumstances when they were younger. They wanted to help as much as they could, but they realized I was not scared and not nervous as we had always believed, and their heart-to-heart talks were not working. We all agreed that I should see a professional counselor, and we scheduled my first appointment. It was tough. I was a very socially awkward girl, and I didn't know how to properly express how I was feeling. Who does, really? For the first few appointments, I cried and vented out all of my pent-up feelings and thoughts. You're allowed to do that, you know, and I would highly recommend it. The counselor was incredibly understanding and let me know that I was okay. I was not just nervous, not just scared, not just shy. I had a condition. She told me that there was a solution for what I was going through, anxiety. Most importantly, she told me that I wasn't alone. I was surprised to hear this. I honestly believed that nobody could relate to what I was going through. And there was a reason for this. Mental health has this stigma around it, even nowadays, where it is often dismissed and seen as taboo. If you speak openly about your mental health, people tend to think that you're just complaining or being overdramatic about what is actually a serious problem. Because of that, people are silent, and they don't speak up about their mental health. So I never had a person to look up to who was going through the same struggles as I was. And that is why I believed I was alone. Over the weeks that my counselor and I met, she taught me breathing exercises and other ways to care for myself during and after an anxiety attack. It was after that when I created my 3-step process. First, I recognize what's going on with my body. The shaky hands, shallow breaths, and a foggy brain. Second, I try to find out what the problem is and why I'm feeling anxious, because sometimes anxiety creeps up for no reason. The third step is to focus on what's in front of me and to focus on my breathing to eventually calm myself down. These steps work for me, and I know I'm not alone, so chances are they will work for somebody else as well. High school. I'm a part of my school's leadership program. I have a lead role in the school's musical production, and I'm up on the stage presenting a personal story about me to all of you. Most importantly, thanks to my 3-step process and a great support system, my anxiety attacks have been rare. I do still suffer from anxiety, and I always will. It's not something that can just disappear, but now I know how to combat it. My advice to you is, if you have experienced shaky hands, shallow breaths, and a foggy brain, or if you know someone who has experienced these, follow my 3 steps. Pay attention to your body, find out the problem, and focus on your surroundings. Also, find a support system, someone to talk to, whether it's a family member, a friend, or even me. Whatever you choose to do, whoever you choose to talk to, just know that you are not alone. Thank you.